Hi, this is Carl Potter, and today we're talking to you from a job shack, and just wanted to very quickly with the video that I'm working on here is talk to you about personal protective equipment. I talked to you about this a lot, but one personal protective equipment obviously is hard hats, and we've talked about those. You've seen the melon squash and protecting your melon video that we've done, and also we've got our safety glasses, and I talk about those a lot. But something that's very near and dear to my heart for a reason is hearing protection. I want to talk to you about that a little bit, because when you're doing construction work around jackhammers or equipment like vibrators or just where there's a lot of hammering and beating and it's really enclosed in a manufacturer or a construction or in a power plant or whatever, you have some noises. Now, one of the rules of thumb is if you have to shout and you're to be understood within about 3 foot, then you're probably needing some hearing protection. Now, I want to make that a little bit further, because I believe that about 8 foot, if you're having to holler at 8 foot, then you probably need some kind of hearing protection. Because I tell you, I've got the experience of this, and I'll take them out, but I've got hearing protection, no hearing protection. I've got hearing aids, and the reason I've got hearing aids here that you see is because I worked in a power plant for about 2.5 years and worked around turbines, and that turbine noise in 2.5 years, during that time there was no qualified area that said that you had to always have hearing protection on. Now there is in those areas, but what happened over a period of time, I wound up with what's called tone deafness, and so part of the tone that I don't hear is in there, and it just happens to be women's tone, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, and I had to prove that to my wife, by the way, which you can, married guys can understand, but I have that tone deafness. Now, that tone deafness causes me to have to wear special hearing aids where I can hear those tones along with the low tones and the high tones. Now, the other thing is we protect ourselves by the type of hearing protection that we use. The hearing protection I want to talk to you about, several, are this. Now, I use these, one reason is because of my hearing aids that I can put these on, but I also like them because then I just like them. Now, you're out there working and they're uncomfortable, they're hot, and everything, and they're great for shooting, they're great for sports, they're great for mowing, different things like that, and you can also get noise canceling with these. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can get a noise canceling. As a pilot, I have a pair of these that actually have my microphone boom on them and all that, and they are noise canceling because I can hear better in the cockpit and it's a lot safer, and I use those. But the other piece of the most common one that we see is the hearing aids, hearing plugs like these right here, and I'm going to open these up and show you that there's a proper way also to put this hearing protection on. And you see, got the little lanyard, and you've seen these, and you probably use them, and it's probably been demonstrated. But with clean hands, you can take and roll these up and roll them in a small enough roll like this so that you can get them in your ear. And I have pretty good sized ears, so I don't have to roll them up too tight. But anyway, if you notice, what you do is you reach back behind here and you put them in by pulling on your ear. Don't pull too hard, but you pull your ears and then get it stretched out there where they'll fit. And then take and pull them around, pull the other one around, and you grab that, get it rolled up so that it'll fit in your ear. And as you roll that up, then it'll begin to fit better and begin to expand. I can feel the other one expand, and now I have hearing protection. Now, although that might be muffled, what's interesting is you can start to hear people's voice and instructions and things like that a lot better. And those sharp, repetitive noises you hear, like hammers and things like that, loud grinders, things that have that high-pitched and above an 85 decibel level will not bother you. Two things that will happen when you wear these is it'll lower your stress. That's one big thing. And when you go home at night, you won't have that ringing in your ears. And it's the ringing that I live with every day. I can lay in bed on the quietest night and it sounds like a phone ringing. And my brain has gotten used to that, so I don't pay any attention to it. I can ignore it now. But for the longest time, I didn't know what that was. And that tends to kind of, affect all of your hearing. So I would encourage you this. No matter whether at your job site you're required to have hearing protection, get you some hearing protection, get some things like this. If you're using a chainsaw, in one of my other videos I talked about this as a piece of equipment that I use, and this is when I'm doing this, I've got the earmuffs right here that are built onto my handy dandy hard hat, chainsaw hard hat, and you use those kind of things. So when you're trying to protect yourself, just remember, hearing protection is cheap. It's a lot cheaper. The hearing aids that I use are about $2,500 a piece. So I can tell you, you really don't want to spend that money. It would be a whole lot cheaper to spend a few bucks on a box full of these and then have them around. And whether your job site requires or not, you start wearing these. This is Carl Potter in this week's video, and I hope you make it a safe day.